What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to Fireside Rangers. I'm your host, Eric Wilson. Today, joined by my co-host, Will Cohen. Today, we're going to be discussing three underrated players on the Rangers to start the season through 13 games that really haven't gotten the recognition that they deserved. Some of these players are bigger name players than others, but at the end of the day, we all think that they've been playing phenomenally, and they're just really not talked about. The Rangers have been incredible to start the season. Game 14 is in about 30 minutes from the time of this recording against Columbus. So we'll see how that goes and be sure to cover it in tomorrow's episode. But until then, make sure you like, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss a notification. Leave your thoughts on all three of these players down in the comment section below. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, be sure to leave us a 5-star review and be sure to follow all of our social media platforms at Fireside Rangers on both Instagram and X. But let's get right into this. Will, how are you doing today? And who is the first player that you consider to be underrated so far?
I'm doing really good today. Well, I'm hanging out with my girlfriend's dog or our dog and watching the Giants lose 28-0. But this weekend has been good. JMU won yesterday, so we're 10-0. Start the season, we get college game day next week, and so it's pretty hype. And the first person I think of that's underrated is KeAndre Miller. I have a feeling, well, not even that I have a feeling, it's just not a lot of people are talking about him, and I think more people should jump on the KeAndre Miller propaganda bandwagon.
Yeah, I mean, KeAndre Miller, he's been really good. Him and Trouba are the only defensive pairing that hasn't gotten split up because of the recent injuries that's been going on. And, me and Anthony as well, were very critical on KeAndre Miller last season. He kind of focuses more on offense than defense. And even when he does play defense last season, it was pretty bad. But, Will, I know you just recently wrote an article covering KeAndre Miller on empiresportsmedia.com. So to everyone listening, if you want more info on Will's take on this, be sure to go check that out. But Will, just break down Miller. How has he improved this season? What is he doing right? And just your overall thoughts on him.
Well, he has more takeaways. He has 9 takeaways, which leads the Rangers, all players. He has 19 block shots. He's playing better in his defensive zone. He's limiting his giveaways. He only has 2, which is tied for second amongst Rangers D-men. He's just doing a lot more. And on top of that, he's also scoring more. He has 1 goal and 6 assists for 7 points, which he hasn't scored in the past couple games, but he's still adding a lot of offensive. He's still adding a lot of offensive just force to this Ranger team, and he's shooting the puck a lot more as well. I know it's not a lot, but he has 10 shots, which is, that is a lot for a D man. They're shooting from the point, so they're not a lot of them are hitting. They're not going on goal on net, but he's just doing a lot more in his own zone, and even his D partner, Trouba. Him and his D partner are playing a lot better as well. So I think that's also helping him hone in on a better defensive game this year.
Yeah, and you mentioned Jacob Trouba, KeAndre Miller's defensive partner, and spoiler alert, Trouba isn't going to be one of the three players that we're talking about today. But I do want to just briefly discuss him because how important is he for the betterment of KeAndre Miller? You kind of have like Fox and Lindgren as our top dogs, where Fox is able to go up and enter the offensive rush and create these scoring chances because Lindgren is so good at staying back and playing straight defensive defense. So I feel like the way that I look at it is KeAndre Miller and Jacob Trouba are like the junior version of Fox and Lindgren. So do you see it the same way? Like, how integral is the way that Trouba plays in order for KeAndre Miller to be able to find this success?
Yeah, I do agree with you. I know last year they had a lot of trouble. They gave up a lot of goals, and they had a lot of trouble in their own end. And it was because, if Trouba was out of position, Miller would come help, and Miller would be out of position. It would create, an open guy. He would score. If Miller was out of position, Trouba would come help. He would be out of position. But this year they're in perfect. They're always in perfect position. They're not letting in a ton of goals. And I think, if Miller's playing really well, then Trouba's going to be playing really well. And if Trouba's playing really well, then Miller's going to be playing really well. And I think that really helps out this Rangers defense because, as we saw last year, our defense really wasn't that great. But this year, I think our defense is 1,000 times better than it was last year under Gallant. So I think it really helps when both of them play well.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. And I think the defense overall has been incredibly solid to start this season. They don't get talked about enough, especially on this channel. We always like to talk about Panarin and the offensive guys, but the defense is absolutely cooking right now at this part of the season. So I do want to stay on the subject of the defense heading into our second player, who is Erik Gustafsson. He was just recently signed to a 1-year contract over the summer. And I won't lie, when we first made that signing, I was a little confused by it. We had a couple million to work with, and Drury was just handing out these 1-year deals for less than $1 million. And it started to rack up. We made a lot of signings, and Gustafsson was a confusing one because I was just like, why? He's more of an offensive defenseman, kind of like Miller. And I was like, we don't need that many. We have Fox, we have Miller. We don't need another guy. And Gustafsson, he's old. But man, was I wrong, because he has been absolutely amazing to start the season. So far, he's at 9 points, 3 goals and 6 assists, which is second among Rangers defensemen. I'm assuming only behind Adam Fox, right?
Yeah.
But who's going to beat Fox, even when Fox has been injured for like 4 games? But Gustafsson has been pretty incredible. He doesn't get talked about a lot because he's down on the third pairing. He's not one of our top stars, but he's looked really, really good. So, Will, just break down your thoughts on Gustafsson so far.
When I had contradicting thoughts to yours when we signed him. I actually love this signing. He had 42 points last year, which was his second highest. He had 60 in a different season. I can't remember what season it was. I think it was the with the Blackhawks in his first couple years in the league. But I was very happy with it because you're getting an offensive defenseman on the third pair, which kind of helps out Braden Schneider. But again, I know one of our other co-hosts, Colin, doesn't like it because it doesn't really help out Schneider because Schneider's not very good on defense. But anyway, getting a little off topic there. But he's been great. He's Adam Fox, obviously he's injured right now, and Gustafsson has seemed to step up. He's a third pairing defenseman, but now he's QBing the power play 1 unit. And since Fox has gone down, he's had a goal, 4 assists, and 5 points, and he's on a 3-game point streak right now. He's a staple on this Ranger defense. So he's the type of guy that is good for this team because let's say Miller gets injured or a top D man gets injured, he's able to slot up and down the lineup, and that's what I really like about him is that ability to, like I just said, slot up and down the lineup and still succeed wherever he's playing.
Yeah, I mean, ever since Fox got injured, Gustafsson has pretty much just filled that role. He's playing with Ryan Lindgren, although they are the second pairing now behind Miller and Trouba. They're still keeping the kind of the same dynamic that you saw with Fox. Gustafsson is also now on that power play 1, which has still been producing at an incredible rate. I can't remember, I don't remember if we scored a power play goal last game or not, but even if we didn't, we have like a power play goal in like all but 2 games so far this season. It's something insane. And Fox was obviously a big part of that. And without him, Gustafsson has kind of just stepped into that role, filled those shoes, and he's continuing to produce. And I personally think that he needs to be talked about a lot more, especially as someone who was brought in for so cheap. We always thought that Blake Wheeler would be the really low risk, really high reward type of player. But now that Colin's not here, we can speak about Wheeler the way we like to. We don't like Blake Wheeler. I think it was a waste of like $700,000. I don't care if he scored his first goal. I'll never back down from that. I don't care if he scores 6 goals tonight. I will still hate on Wheeler. Nothing will change my mind on that. But sorry about that rant. Erik Gustafsson, I think he's been the most underrated signing so far, and perhaps the most underrated player to start this season as well. He has just been absolutely incredible. I've said that phrase a lot so far, but I have no other words to say about these players. But I do want to move into the third and final underrated player. You can probably tell who it is. He's on the thumbnail. He's on this graphic. Alexis Lafreniere. Finally talking about a forward this episode. He's been up on the second line pretty much this entire season so far, playing with Artemi Panarin. Spent about half the season with Philip Hedl as a centerman. Nowadays it's Vincent Trocheck because of the injury. But Lafreniere, he's been quiet, He had a 3-point game last game, probably his best of the season so far. But he's looked great. 9 points in 13 games played. I think that sets him on pace for a career high if he were to continue at the same rate for the remainder of the season. I know his career high in points is only 39. This is his 4th NHL season. He's yet to break that 40-point threshold former first overall pick, been a little underwhelming. But now that he's in the top 6, he is starting to produce a lot more. And even outside of offense, he still looked great in every other aspect of the game. And no one's talking about him unless it's something negative. Because, yeah, he is a first overall pick that took a little while to get started, but he's making strides very, very quickly. And I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of game number 82, we walk away saying that this was Lafreniere's best season to date. So I think he deserves a lot more recognition than what he's been getting, and the recognition that he has been getting, it needs to be a little more positive. But Will, I'll let you break down your thoughts on Alexi Lafreniere and your thoughts on him.
Yeah, I hate calling Alexi Lafreniere underrated because on my Twitter timeline, I see nothing but good things being said about him. Everyone's talking about him, but he has been underrated because obviously there's a lot. Everyone's talking about Artemi Panarin. And now Vincent Trocheck start this year, right in the last 3 games. But he's been very good this year. The first game he had a really good game, and then the next 3 games weren't that great. But after game 4, he's been consistent in every single game, and it's really not just Panarin setting him up. He's not just a product of Panarin. Well, that's a huge reason why he's doing very good, but he's setting up Panarin. He's making, defensive plays along the board. He has 8 takeaways. He has 22 shots on goal, and this is obviously his best first 13 games to start his career. And the play I really want to highlight right now is it was Panarin's goal against the Red Wings, where Lafreniere was against the boards. He was trapped. It was Wallman and someone else along the boards with him, but he lost the puck, got it back, and made a great play to Panarin, and Panarin obviously scored a goal. I think it was 5-0 at that point. And then in game 1, he was the reason why Panarin had a goal. In the first game. I kind of just repeated myself, but I can't remember who it was, but it was right before you go into the offensive zone. He made a beautiful play along the boards. Puck trickled out to Panarin, and Panarin scored. He's just been great in all facets of his game this year. It's the best start, obviously, to his career. It's awesome to see I'm excited to see what's going to happen throughout the rest of the year. But right now he's on pace for 32 goals, 25 assists for 57 points. So if that's his season, I'd be happy with that. Obviously, it beat his career high from I think it was last season. He set a career high by 18 points. So that would be awesome for him.
Yeah, and that second line that you kind of broke down, it's been, in my opinion, the best line for the Rangers so far this season. Panarin has been cooking. He might be benefiting from Alexi Lafreniere, kind of just like you said. And, both Filip Chytil and Vincent Trocheck have been good. So when I say that second line has been great, I like to group them together. But to start the season, there was some discussion where we knew that both Lafreniere and Kakko would be in the top 6. We just didn't know where each one would end up. And obviously, Kakko was given the first line spot, Lafreniere the second. Had that been different, and it has been like Panarin, Chytil / Trocheck, and Kakko, do you think that second line is still finding success, or is Lafreniere truly that one piece that makes this magic happen?
That's a really good question. I actually really haven't thought about that throughout the entire season. I think it would have been a little different. Lafreniere is the type of guy that has a shot first mentality. And that's really what Panarin needs. And Kakko's not really that type of guy. He likes to pass the puck. He likes to set up his teammates. He likes to do that. But Lafreniere is that shoot first mentality, and that's kind of what Panarin needed. Was Panarin, he has 8 goals this year, but he also has 14 assists. He's kind of a pass first guy. He likes to set up his teammates. He's a play driver. He's not even a center. He's a left wing. He's a play driver. He loves to make the pass first. And with Alexi Lafreniere, he's the type of guy that, he's just going to let the puck rip. So I think it would have looked a lot different with Kakko than Lafreniere on this line.
Yeah, it would have been a very different style of play, but who knows? Kakko's down on the third line now, and that third line looks pretty good. But that's a discussion for another time. That about wraps up this episode, talking about 3 underrated players. But really quick, Will, I want you to know, just name one player, no explanation, one overrated player. Be careful about what you say. You'll anger someone.
This season, right?
Yeah.
I hate saying that Mika Zibanejad. I hate saying that. Mika Zibanejad. Hate saying that.
Wow.
Hate saying that. Hate it.
You just definitely angered a lot of our fans.
You told me no explanation.
No explanation.
I'm not even going to give an explanation. I hate saying that. He's going to get going soon. I hate saying that, though. Really do. Really hate saying that.
Well, thank you for sharing your controversial take. I won't be doing that.
That
about wraps up this episode. Thank you to everyone for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss a notification, and make sure to leave your thoughts on all three players that we discussed today down in the comment section below. And don't be afraid to tear apart Will for what he just said live on camera. If you're watching us on Apple or Spotify, be sure to give us a 5-star review, and be sure to follow all of our social media accounts at Fireside Rangers on Instagram and X. The Rangers are about to play in 15 minutes now, so we'll be sure to cover that tomorrow, as well as all of Rangers news for the remainder of the season and seasons going forward. So thank you all for watching. Have a good one, and
let's go Rangers.